Cuyahoga County Public Works Procurement and Contracting Committee meeting for Wednesday, October the 4th, 2023 will be called to order.
And just as a reminder to all who are in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Mr. Tuma.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Ms. Conwell. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Conwell is absent. Mr. Sweeney.
Present.
Ms. Turner.
Present.
There is a quorum.
All right, Madam Clerk, is there any public comment this morning?
No, Mr. Chair, no one is signed in.
And if I could have approval of minutes from the September 20th meeting, 2023 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Okay, Madam Clerk, if you could please read the first matter referred to committee.
Resolution number 2023-0273, authorizing an amendment to a revenue generating agreement number 50 with the City of Cleveland to lease space located at 1300 Ontario Street, Cleveland.
Okay, and if you could just state your name for the record.
Good morning, John Myers with Public Works. We're here today to seek your approval and authority to enter into amendment with the City of Cleveland for what has been known as the Cleveland Police Headquarters Building, which is part of the Justice Center complex. This is an amendment to add some additional time, another year, while the City of Cleveland continues to build out its new police headquarters. This is for approximately 122,000 square feet. We've increased the rent by $2 per square foot, approximately 12.5%, and we've increased the parking approximately 16%. The total amount of revenue that we'll be receiving is about $2.3 million for this one-year lease.
Okay. Do you know what the long-range plan for the property is? Has there been any discussion about that?
Well, Mr. Chairman, we have continued to use the building. We have 2.5 floors of probation in this building, and the sheriff's office uses it, has put offices in here as well. We have storage in the building. So the footprint of the city has continued to shrink. Obviously, the long term, so we have immediate needs for continued space and more space. Obviously, the long-term issue will be tied in with the whole Justice Center decisions and process.
Right. And how's the condition of the building currently?
There's been some deferred maintenance. Our sections that we built out, the probation moved into several years ago when we first took over the building, has been completely built out. The city's portion that they've continued to maintain it's certainly tired, to be polite.
Tired. I'm tired too. Is the city currently up to date on its other leases with the Justice Center?
The larger issue, I'm sorry that I can't speak to the courts tower one, but they are on this particular lease.
Okay, and then what exactly, what departments are using it right now for Cleveland?
It's all police. It's all the police. Command staff and detectives and different units within the police, but it's all police.
Okay. I'll open the floor to questions. I see Mr. Miller.
No questions, just a comment that we're making out very, very well on this contract in that we're receiving more money than we paid to acquire the property. And this somewhat makes up for the bath we're taking on the prisoner housing contract.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just to comment on Mr. Miller's comment, it's essentially the purchase of this building, which was necessary for our to have control of the whole super block, and as part of planning for the courts and jail and possible disposition, has been essentially paid for by the City of Cleveland's own rent back to us. So it's been a economically positive thing, but more importantly, even programmatically, we needed that space for probation. And in addition to the monies that we receive, we have been saving money. Previously, probation and other units were in lease facilities in the immediate neighborhood, so we also have saved over these last number of years on that lease as well. So it's been has been a positive thing for the county.
Okay, further questions, Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, Mr. Tuma. Hello, John, how are you?
Good morning.
It's kind of funny, first time I ever saw all 5 people's head nods when Dale's question was answered in the gallery, so
We're always happy to acknowledge good news.
thank you. So I'll leave that revelation to myself next time, I think. You mentioned the jail is being built out to 1 year, right?
This particular lease.
Yeah, but is the jail even being built out? I don't think they're doing anything.
You mean,
over there.
well, this is for the
I mean, the
police
headquarters, the police
yeah.
headquarters.
You know, Mr. Chairman, to Councilman Sweeney, we don't control the city, as you know, and I know that they've finally made a decision and they've made a purchase, so that was steps in the right direction. In the meantime, we're still happy to take,
I mean, that was pretty funny through the chair.
yeah,
You went from build out to, I know they made a decision and I know they purchased it.
baby steps, baby steps.
So I'm thinking it's going to be more than a year, is basically what it is.
Likely. We obviously, Mr. Chair, to Councilman Sweeney, we will be, the needs of the county are going to dictate what we do, but obviously we want to be a partner and cooperative with the city as much as possible, so.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just.
But I have not heard an update on the schedule for the Art Craft Building or whatever the name of that is, or on the Inner Belt.
And I'm just commending you on doing a 1 year because we can renegotiate again and
Yes.
see how we can improve our status.
Yes.
In regards to the lease. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Any other comments or questions? Okay, what's the time frame on this here?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry that we began renegotiating this, at the end of last year. We have, we're at the start date this week. So I don't know that it really matters. We'd appreciate your consideration, but if it doesn't happen, it's okay because they aren't going anywhere and they still owe us the money, so.
Yeah, for consistency's sake, I'd like to get this through. If my colleagues have no objection, I'd like to move the contract through based on the time constraints. I don't like waiting around. So we have a motion and a second to move our 2023-0273 on for second reading suspension. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. All right, thank you, Mr. Myers. Madam Clerk, next resolution.
Resolution number 2023-0274, authorizing an amendment to contract number 3672 with Alto 55 Erie View, doing business as Alto 55, for lease of space located at 75 Erie View Plaza, Cleveland, for the operation of the Family Justice Center by the Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, witness victim.
Okay, and if you could just state your name for the record.
Good morning again, John Myers, Department of Public Works. We're here to seek your approval and authority to enter into an amendment with the company landlord Alto 55, which is over at Erie View Plaza. The county's Family Justice Center has been located at this site for several years. Witness victim and other justice services are in this site that we partner somewhat with the city of Cleveland. This is for an amendment extending 50 months, just extended a few more months than to take it to the end of the calendar year. So that would be from October 31st this year to December 31st to 27. These are, and I know there's representatives from public safety here who can speak to it if you have questions, but I believe these are grant funds which are utilized to pay this rent to provide the lion's share of these services. The spaces work well for us and is a very modest, less than 2% increase in the rent, reflecting our inflationary times.
How long have we leased this space?
We've probably been there 8 to 10 years.
8 to 10. And have we had other tenants there, or has it just been this group, or?
Just this, at this particular building, just this, this use.
Okay. What is the price per square foot? What does that amount to?
$14.20.
And how much has that gone up?
About 1.42%.
Okay, and the condition of the property, how would you rate the condition there?
Good. We've toured it in anticipation of, with all of our leases, we review with the on-site management to see what issues, if any, there are. And there were a couple of, minor ones that are being addressed pursuant to this amendment.
Okay. It's my understanding that we're paying for operating and electric. Why would we do that in a lease? Wouldn't that usually be the tenant's responsibility?
Well, we are the tenant here, so we're leasing this space from.
We're subletting it then?
No, the Alto 55 is the owner of the building. As I said, down here on Erie View Plaza, one of the low-rise buildings, we're leasing it from them for use for the Family Justice Center. So it's normal. All of our leases, I think we pay electric as a separate
So we're
commodity.
leasing the property, and then the Family Justice Center is doing what?
Well, the Family Justice Center is, and Public Service can speak more to the program of it, but it's one of public services, services to the community that they provide with funding from monies from different sources. But this is a county lease for providing services such as witness victim and other activities such as that this space is utilized for.
And they pay it through grants?
I believe so. City of Cleveland essentially pays it. This is a double City of Cleveland day that we're benefiting from their resources.
Okay, I'll open the floor for questions. Any questions? Okay, no questions. So what are you looking for in way of time frame here? I see, was it October 31st?
Yeah, November 1st is the start
November 1st.
of this, so I forget how many more meetings you have this month.
Probably one.
It could be
There,
final passage on October 24th, even with 3 readings.
yeah, so I don't want, I think that that's sufficient, assuming your calendar. I thought it was sufficient, so I don't feel a need to ask for that consideration.
All right, then I'll make a motion to move our 2023-0274 on for second reading. Do I have a
Second.
second? We have a motion to move our 2023-0274 for second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and I'll move on for second reading.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Madam Clerk, the next piece of legislation, please.
Resolution number 2023-0275, making an award on requisition number 12689 to the ruling company in an amount not to exceed $28,771,797.70 for rehabilitation of various Pleasant Valley Road bridges in the city of Independence and Village of Valley View.
Okay, and if you could just state your name for the record.
Nicole English with Public Works. So this is a construction award. We had 4 bids come in. We are selecting the lowest and best bid. This is federally funded to the tune of 48.5%. The county's paying 24.5%, and OPWC, or what we call Issue 1 grant funding, at 27%. Therefore, the federal guidelines are set with a DBE goal. We don't use our county diversity goals, so that was 10%. They are meeting that. The engineer's estimate was $30 million. The lowest bid is just under $29 million, so it's about 4.1% under the engineer's estimate. And we are seeking approval. We would hope to start construction late October is the timeframe that we're looking for, and this will be going all the way through 2026. It is 3 bridges. It's pretty complicated. We are maintaining one-way traffic right now in the plans, so hopefully as they discover, as they take pieces off the bridge, it can withhold that, but that is the plan.
Okay, are there any additional work that's going to be done with the bridges, like sewers, sidewalks, or is this strictly bridge?
There is sidewalk on each of the 3 bridges, and then we're grading in between, because there is a decent distance in between, not decent, but, it's in the same area, but there is some distance in between the 2 bridges, so we're grading so that the cities in the future can come through and connect to those sidewalks.
And then as far as the bridges, how many were there? 3?
3, yeah.
Are they going to be done in a particular order, or are they going to be done at this?
All at the same time, so essentially they'll, shift the traffic to one side of all of the bridges, work on those halves, then switch back.
Okay. And then you said 2026 estimated.
Completion, correct.
All right, any questions? Mr. Miller?
Who else bid on this and how much?
There was 4 bidders, so Rulin is the lowest at 28.7. Kenmore was next at 31.2. Great Lakes next at 31.7, and J.D. Williamson at 32.1 was the highest. So actually, the low bid was, a couple million lower than the rest, and then the rest were within $1 million of each other.
Competition pays off.
Correct, and for good bidders that, good companies to do this work. It is pretty expensive. I mean, $30 million job is a pretty decent sized job, so I think that's why we got the interest we did.
And is there a cost savings obtained by doing all 3 bridges as part of a single contract, and to what extent?
For sure. I don't know, exactly how we could quantify, but you're definitely gaining, you pay MOT one time for maintenance of traffic, you're mobilizing one time. I mean, so you're able to do all these things. And actually, the benefit for the public is what's really not even captured in that we're not coming through one after one after one, doing them. So I think this was a win. We initially got federal funding for one of the bridges, and then we had applied for the next 2. And once we were able to kind of cobble them together, it made the most sense.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? What's your time frame on this one?
So we're hoping to give notice to proceed by October 30th, which would seem like we could go 3 readings, but it's, by the time it gets passed and then the resolution gets signed and we get the contract back, does take about 2 weeks now. So if we could do second reading suspension, that would assist us in the construction.
Okay, when we're dealing with bridges, I like to get things moving along because I just know how complicated those situations are. So if nobody has any objections, I'll move R 2023-0275 on for second reading suspension. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second to move R 2023-0275 on for second reading suspension. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. All right, thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
English. Madam Clerk, the next resolution, final resolution.
Resolution number 2023-0276, authorizing amendments to 2 revenue-generating agreements with Educational Service Center of Cuyahoga County for the lease of 2 Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disability Centers for operations of Bright Beginnings programs, formerly known as Help Me Grow programs.
Okay, and if you could just state your name for the record.
Good morning, Sarah Kamak with the Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities. These are lease amendments for long-term leases by ESC, which operates Bright Beginnings. They do our early childhood service coordination. So for children who receive services through the board, Bright Beginnings coordinates services for children between ages 0 and 3. This is for the lease of space in our William Patrick Day building and our Green Road building. I will note that the rent is below market, obviously, at just $1 per year. This has been kind of the longstanding agreement, and this lease term, we actually did have discussions about doing like a market study to see what the rent should be moved up to. Bright Beginnings was able to secure $300,000 in ARPA funding to outfit the buildings with new technology, including some laptops, some video conferencing equipment, and some Zoom pods, which benefit our staff who are in these buildings as well. So we agreed to keep the rent at $1.
Okay, appreciate that information. Do we still pay to maintain the property, or who maintains it?
We do. We maintain both of these buildings, but we have quite a bit of staff in both of these buildings. So they're just leasing small amounts of space.
Are the ARPA funds going to be used for both buildings?
The ARPA funds, yes,
Yeah,
are
okay.
used for both.
And what sort of things happen with the Adult Activity Center? What like sort of events or activities occur over there?
So these are really more buildings that they're not really adult activity centers anymore. They have a lot of our staff in them. So our service and support administrators, different staff members for the County Board of DD are there. Bright Beginnings, they're able to then collaborate on early intervention services. Obviously our buildings are open to the public, and we have, public meetings there with people who receive services, but I don't believe there are any day programs in either of these buildings at this point.
Okay, and then are there any plans to expand the number of locations, or are we satisfied with having 2 buildings?
The Board of DD has more than 2 buildings. This is just 2 buildings for Bright Beginnings, but there's no intention to expand the Bright Beginnings space more than this.
All right, questions?
Yes, I have one question. Question is, why is the name Help Me Grow no longer being used?
I actually don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure why they switched the naming from Help Me Grow to Bright Beginnings, but I think that happened couple years ago, potentially.
Okay. Mr. Sweeney?
Why not? I just want to say you're wonderful. Thank you for coming out, and I've been here 3 years, and I think I need to know a little bit more about your world, and maybe one day I can come over and learn a little bit more.
Yeah, we would love that.
Come on, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Any other comments or questions? And what is the time frame on this as far as the contract goes?
The amendment would renew, the effective date of the amendment would be September 15th. Obviously, that's already passed. They're in the building. We have no intention to, kick them out in the short term. So there's no problem with it going 3 readings.
Okay. If you have no issue with the 3 readings, we'll do 3 readings. I'll make a motion, R 2023-0276 for a second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move R 2023-0276 on for second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other pending miscellaneous business before finance, or finance, Public Works? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Has enthusiasm. And